Hey everyone, welcome to today's show. I'm super excited to have Tara Youngblood from Chilli Technologies, and we are going to talk about my new favorite thing, which is called the Chilipad. And after you hear all the juicy details, I'm sure you're going to want to get one as well. And Tara is so kind to offer discounts. So 25% off of the Chilipad using coupon code Tracy with all caps. Okay, so Tracy25, or her new version is called the Uller, and you can save 15% off of that at Tracy15. Okay, all caps. I will have links to that in the show notes, but don't forget because this is amazing. Tara Youngblood is a fusion scientist specializing in the science of sleep, and she's the co-founder of the Chilipad, the secret weapon that past presidents, first ladies, and celebrities use to up their own sleep game to expert level. And we will blame absolutely anything for our poor sleep habits, but most of us don't even realize the one factor that changes everything, and that is temperature. I'm super excited for you to hear this conversation. Tara is lovely, and she will help all of us women in the hot years to sleep better and to age stronger. So let's go say hi to Tara.
Welcome to the Be Well, Be Keto podcast, where we showcase ordinary people who have achieved extraordinary results. Your host is the high energy girl, Tracy Gluhite.
Hey Tara, thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Great, thanks for having me.
Well, you are amazing, and you have made my husband and I's life change, which we'll dig into a little deeper in a minute. But first, will you just let the listeners know a little bit about you?
Yeah, so my husband and I are in business together. We've co-founded a company called Chilli Technology. My background itself is in physics, so energy physics, fusion, and other things like that. And so it is a little bit of a stretch to go to sleep. But as we invented this product, we found that sleep is something that really needs to get studied. It really needs to get studied for women. Remarkably, the percentage of sleep studies that have been done for women is so small, like less than 5%, because we're messy and complicated and we have periods and all those things that make it really hard to study sleep because our temperature changes throughout the month, so we don't get studied or looked at. And so my passion is really about bringing sleep to everybody and making it understood of how it works and how to get it better sleep.
That is cool. And so what made you interested in that topic?
Well, honestly, we came up with the Chilipad, which is a temperature regulation for sleep, but we came up with that just as a market niche. We brought other products to market. Todd's uncle invented the waterbed, so we had sort of done different consulting projects for mattresses and other things. But when we came up with the idea, it was more the idea of couples in bed. We are different temperatures when we sleep, and Todd's really hot, and I always wanted to have a nice warm side, and he wanted it freezing cold. And so we're like, oh, this would be great. It's when climate control for car seats came out. And so it was like, oh, well, I want my own climate control for my bed. So we thought it was just a comfort thing. And it's amazing what temperature, when you get into the research, and we can kind of get into the sort of nerdy side of what temperature actually does for your sleep. But that's really, I couldn't resist it as a scientist of like, there's more going on here than just making me more comfortable at night. It changed my sleep states. It really changed the actual dynamics of my sleep, just temperature by itself. So I went into sort of a deep dive of like, how does this really work? It's kind of cool.
So did you use like a Fitbit or whatever, or some device to actually measure your sleep and all of that? What'd you do?
Yeah, so actually, it's not bad at the moment, but literally we put our bed up on blocks. We cut 4x4 blocks and raised our bed because I have tested every kind of tester out there. I've worn multiple gadgets. I've had under sensors that go underneath you, stuff next to your bed. And so I had to find a way to somewhat keep that organized. I've had hypothermia machines, so medical devices for cooling of like, okay, how cool should we get this? How do we manage thermal load in the bed? Again, the physics person in me is like, okay, what are the thermodynamics and how can I measure airflow and how much the mattress heats up based on what's in the mattress, and how much does the blanket have a factor, and how do all those things come together. So yes, for a period of time, it's not as bad right now. I think I only have like 3 different trackers on, but I track my sleep with all sorts of things and sort of cross compare them. My favorite at the moment is the Aura Ring. But yeah, I cross compare and kind of like see what's going on. So yes, I get the name Sleep Geek pretty accurately.
And how long have you been doing all this?
Really for about 10 years now. So, just really getting into it. I've been, because it is like a really interesting way to look at the thermal load and the thermodynamics of the human body. I've been to MIT Media Lab conferences and, all sorts of different events, because as much as research that has started on sleep, in a sleep lab, it's really hard to control people's temperature. And so temperature has not been a very studied subject as part of sleep. We've actually know more about light, and we know more about all, like, even hormone levels and things like that, but the information on temperature has been lacking. So that's kind of my soapbox, clearly.
Interesting. So I want to get into all of the juicy details about the Chilipad, but first I want to see what besides that, because I am like a big sleep nerd. Like, I wear an eye mask, I wear earplugs, I take magnesium before bed. I do not, I have like my amber glasses. I don't do any, screens. And then when I started using the Chilipad, I feel like I get in bed and I don't move, because I used to always be hot. I had a fan on the ceiling and then a fan on the floor, and I was blowing all this air. My husband was going crazy. He hated it. So when he would come to bed hours later, he would turn it all off, and then I'd wake up, So I've always been curious about all that. So the Chilipad, though, it's perfect for us because I can do me,
Yeah, temperature is really amazing. So there's lots of great studies for the super geeky people like me out there. Jerry Siegel out of UCLA did a hunter-gatherer study about temperature. Clifford Sapir out of Harvard was the first person to coin the word sleep switch, and it really does work like a light switch. Temperature activates and deactivates, or excites is the way they talk about it, your neurons in your hypothalamus. And your hypothalamus is the part of your brain that is unconscious. That's the oldest part of your brain. So if we go down, to the most simplest animals, they're going to have that sort of same metric of control of sleep. There's no thinking about this. Temperature is, when the temperature change is registered in your body, that is, your hypothalamus says, oh, awesome, I'll release melatonin and I'll start the sleep drive. Now, obviously, it wants to be in the right window, and that's where the next part of the sort of matching is chronotype, which is not talked about enough. But your body has a circadian rhythm, which I think a lot of people may have heard that there's a rhythm or a body clock inside of you. And it is genetically driven. So if you are a morning person, yes, you are genetically predisposed to being a morning person. But like we know, there's also influencer factors. So if you spend your entire life being a morning person, but you're actually a night person, you can override that. But your genetics are going to indicate a certain thing. And that's there's a certain type of gene, PER, that sort of governs that. But anyway, so that tells you when you should be driving to sleep. So I'm a morning person, so somewhere around 9 o'clock, my sleep drive kicks in. So my body is saying, okay, you've been awake for this many hours. I'm now looking for a temperature change. I'm looking for something that's going to tell me it's time to sleep. And that's why your blockers for your light, because light affects a different type of neuron in the hypothalamus, but it works a very similar way. So if you have all your lights on and your lights aren't dimming like it goes outside, and your temperature is not dropping because you have constant temperature in your house and it's not dropping like it is outside, or it's not cooling down like your body wants to, that's going to also be an effect. You won't be able to flip that switch. So that's the first thing that temperature does. But your temperature, your core body temperature drops in the middle of the night. So by 2 degrees. So if you imagine like your core inside of you really wants to drop 2 degrees. And for females, when we have hormonal imbalances, just even that time of the month, that can affect how easily it is for that to drop. And as we know, temperature is one of those funky things in our body, that thermostat. If we even get sick, we run a temperature and get a fever, or, like it's so easy for that little thermostat inside of us that I would love to replace that. I'll have a conversation someday with the greater universe. Like, why is that so finicky? Can we make that a little bit more stable? But that gets thrown off. And so if your body doesn't drop those 2 degrees, that's when you wake up in the middle of the night. And so it is almost, well, unless it's an apnea or breathing thing, but most of the time people in that, like you and I, in that sort of 50-ish range, that's why we're waking up. It's because of temperature. And a lot of it has to do with that constant temperature that we keep our houses at. And then our nice foam mattresses that we sleep on are also reflecting that heat back to us. So about 4 hours in, when your body wants to be its coldest, your nice foam mattresses are saying, awesome, great, here's all the heat you gave me, I'll give it back to you. So you're actually getting the hottest when you want to be the coolest. And so it creates this factor that you have to get up and move around. But that's also factors in tossing and turning, because it's all your body trying to dissipate that heat, try to get more heat out of the system. So when you have your temperature managed, for a lot of people, because the mattresses these days, there's not really pressure points. If you have a decent mattress, you're not going to have a pressure point that you need to move around or roll around. You should be steady. Temperature is the bigger factor.
Interesting. So what about in the winter?
We still keep our house at about the same temperature is the problem. And if we're not going outside in the evening to trigger that, and if we're not outside or if we're not accessing that cooler thing, so winter sounds like it'll be better. And if you can open your windows and have that room temperature drop, that'll help. But again, most of us are on that comfy mattress under our covers, and our head is cooling, but our core body temperature isn't accessing that cooler temperature as well. So winter sounds like it should be way better, and our sleep drive is generally stronger. Even though we're not hibernation animals, we definitely have a stronger drive for sleep, and some of the light can affect that if we let it. But the temperature, we've engineered our way out of any of that temperature that our bodies got used to for all the way up until about 50 years ago.
Wow, interesting. Because okay, so I'm sure you're familiar with the term night sweats.
Mm-hmm.
So would the Chilipad be helpful to prevent those?
Yeah, so we're actually there's one good study out there I can even send on after the podcast, but we're actually in a study right now that so far we're about halfway through, so it's not officially results or anything, but what happens with night sweats is, this is where sleep has as much of an effect. So if you don't wake up with night sweats, if you don't wake up in the middle of the night due to those hot flashes or night sweats, you actually get better sleep, and you get better deep sleep, and we can go into deep sleep and temperature in a minute. But if you heat up too much, it really prevents you from getting any deep sleep and any recovery. And so if you get good deep sleep, because you're not waking up, you're not having night flashes, you'll actually have less during the day as well. So you won't get those same hot flashes. So you might not go to zero, but the numbers are about 50% less. So depending on what your metric is, because some people have much more severe symptoms than others, but whatever that metric is, it's somewhere in the 40 to 50% reduction.
Wow.
And it's just at that point, it's sleeping better.
Yeah.
Because sleep is pretty magical that way.
Yeah, I love to sleep, and I'm a morning person. I like to be in my bed by 9 o'clock. And then I heard, do you know Dr. Nasha Winters?
Mm-hmm.
So she was on my show, and she said the sweet spot, the magic hours of sleep are from 11 to 3. Mm-hmm. And what I find is a lot of women wake up during that time, which, would prohibit the repair and the hormone production that actually happens at that time, right?
Yeah, so I like to, it probably is the farm girl in me, but I like to think about sleep in buckets because it's messy and it kind of does overflow, so it's not necessarily neat and tidy, but you do have that first bucket. That's your sleep switch of when you go to sleep, and you want to be comfortable in that. So for some people, it's still like, especially we have a lot of people with MS or fibromyalgia or just cold feet. If you've got cold feet, don't be afraid to warm up to fall asleep. That's okay. There's no judgment in the sleep zone. But once you fall asleep, you really do want to be cooler. The deep sleep starts, so if you go to sleep at 9, by 9:30, your body's like, awesome, I want deep sleep. And so you want to be cool. That window does shift for different people. So 11 to 3, yes, if you're going to bed later, but when you go to sleep, you really want to get that deep sleep. If you put off sleep, you can lose that deep sleep window because it's really heavy in the first part of the night. And again, if you picture that temperature, it is cascading down that valley until the middle of the night. So that's 4 hours for when you fall asleep. It wants to be coolest. And when I say fall asleep, I'm assuming you're making good choices and going to sleep when your body wants to. But if you're going to sleep at 11 and you're a morning person where your body's saying, awesome, I'm starting my sleep drive at 9, and you don't join that train until like midnight, you've missed that peak window for deep sleep. And so you're already like almost at the bottom of your valley and you're starting to go back up. And which is not bad. It's REM sleep, which is also good for you. But deep sleep is the one that is most associated with that restfulness. It's really focused on physical healing. It's growth hormones. It's all of that healing stuff is happening there. So you definitely want to give it the respect. And it's not to say you can't ever go out on a Friday night, but be smart, because that's really important to kind of acknowledge what your body needs.
Interesting. So deep sleep and REM sleep are different?
They are. So REM sleep, there's really multiple sleep stages. Deep sleep is your slow wave sleep. Your brain waves are really slow. Your resting heart rate will be at its low, is headed towards lowest. Your brain is really calming. What happens memory-wise in deep sleep is really interesting. So you actually don't file any of your memories during the day. And most of your memories will get filed over a 2-week kind of period, a rotating through. So what happened during the day sits in a holding pattern in that same hypothalamus, and it sits on your desk. So if you picture, you kept piling all your memories on your desk, and then over 2 weeks they get sorted. If you never get deep sleep, and I think there's a lot of research coming out about Alzheimer's and deep sleep, dementia, memory, cognitive loss as we age, deep sleep, we drop it as we age naturally. Temperature is the only hack I have come across that actually hacks that deep sleep as we age, and it still allows someone even in their 80s to still get deep sleep, because naturally all the evidence says it would be gone. They won't get any. So this is a way to get those memories and file them and clear your desk. So every night your body's looking to clear that desk, make it clean from a memory perspective, and then also physically to flush through whatever you did or did not do to yourself. So if you eat a heavy meal before you go to sleep, you're kind of weighing it down. You got to think about the fact that your body's really focused in that first part on healing. So we gotta respect it.
Yeah, I always say don't eat a heavy meal before bed for sure, because your body's busy digesting instead of repairing. So super important. And so on your Chilipad, I may be confused on this, but is there a gauge that makes it warmer and colder? How high does it go? How cool does it go?
Yeah, so the temperature thermostat is between 55 and 110 degrees. And we actually have 2 different products. The Chilipad is our legacy product, and it is like your traditional thermostat where you set it between that. So if you go to your house thermostat and you set it between 55 and 110, if it went to those parameters, you would set it and forget it, and it would stay there until such time as you moved it. Mm-hmm. That's how the Chilipad works. For the Chilipad, I would still want my warm bed. So as I'm reading and settling down for the night, I'd have it on warm, so it's a little bit warm, and then I'd turn it to cool just before I sort of go to sleep equivalent. So you can still kind of hack the system with that. The Uller is a programmable one where it's got a schedule, and that really allows those 3 buckets of sleep. And actually, I just realized I don't think I did that 3rd bucket of sleep. I got way stuck into. But REM sleep at the third bucket wants to be warmer as your body comes out, just like the earth is warming up. So that's where REM sleep is slightly warmer than where you were. And so some people actually wake up cold in the morning if it's too cold.
So that's why you came out with that new device, so that you can have it flow with the natural rhythm of the body in the sleep cycle?
Yes.
Oh, you're so smart.
So it could happen automatically because while you're sleeping, it's really inconvenient to change the temperature when you're asleep.
Oh, that's so cool. So
yeah, but the REM sleep really likes it a little bit warmer. It's really interesting as your body comes out of that cycle. Warming yourself awake is just a great way. The reverse happens on your sleep switch, and it releases cortisol, and you get a natural boost in the morning from a warm awake, warming up.
Oh, that is amazing. Okay, so I haven't even heard that either. So what bucket of sleep is where you dream?
So there is some dreaming that happens in all stages. And most of what happens in deep sleep is going to be that functional shuffling of deciding whether or not those memories. So most of the deep sleep, and it's hard to measure that when they do dream stuff, they're making some, and it goes back to sort of the MIT Media Lab. They are doing amazing things with visualization and being able to see what's happening as people are dreaming and what they're dreaming about. They're making crazy sci-fi-ish kind of progress on some of that. But REM sleep is really a big focus on dreaming. That's most of the time. Like if you wake up and remember a dream, it's from that REM sleep. It's highly emotionally charged usually. It's going to be those memories that help us work out maybe our spouse said something that we didn't like, but it wasn't horrible, or we're going to work that out. That REM sleep is going to be when a lot of that happens, when we're sort of almost like our brain waves look like they're awake. So we're going to process that.
Oh, interesting. So there's a couple other things I want to ask you about just because I love learning. So tell our listeners why sleep is so important, because I find that so many type A women, which is usually who I'm working with, they tend to be in busy land, right? And they just want to get one more thing done and do one more thing. And, they just don't allow themselves, like you said earlier, like if your body wants to go to sleep at 9, but you are staying up and you're fighting against that and going to 11, why do they need to start listening and getting more sleep?
Yeah, so that is absolutely my soapbox. I actually have goosebumps because I just wrote a book really for this message. And it is, I am absolutely guilty about it. Even if it's one more load of laundry, it's cleaning the counter for a little bit more. It is amazing what you can fill up those last 2 hours to procrastinate going to sleep with. It's insane that you are sure you have to do. But I have a really great testimonial. The person has become a friend of mine. I actually met her last January. She had not slept through the night. She had a disorder with her circadian rhythm where after the birth of her second child, so she wasn't even menopausal, but she'd wake up in severe night sweats. And every single night. She hadn't slept through the night in 10 years. So, just miserable sleep-wise. But she was a successful woman. She was a salesperson. She traveled. She had kids. She did her life. But she wasn't sleeping. So honestly, she used the Chilipad and was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. This sleep thing is really phenomenal. And what the research has shown, not just through this experience or other ones, is that when we don't sleep well, when we don't feel like we're successful at something, we don't give it the time that we think we should. So part of the first part of the message is that if you think you can be successful at something, you'll give it the time you need to be successher at it. I think there's a lot of mixed messages about that 8 hours, and that's sort of a separate little side thing to talk about whether you need 8 or not. The most important part from the research I've done is actually that critical first part of your night, to make the time, get really good sleep when your body wants it, when your circadian rhythm, when your body says, shut down, do that. To respect that is the best sleep. It's the most productive sleep. It's the best quality of sleep. And what it does, so go back to my example of Susan, is After 6 months of sleeping, she had gone to bed after the late show. So her and her husband, because she wasn't great at sleep, she would, be up 12, 1 o'clock, and she would just sort of survive. Her morning looked like, she is a morning person, but she would wake up and she'd work out, but it was like, several cups of coffee, and, it's a 45-minute process to kind of get herself, and then she'd work at getting her kids out the door. 6 months after being successful at sleep, the change is she goes to bed at 9 o'clock because she's successful. She knows her recipe. She knows what she needs to do. She wakes up in the morning on time without an alarm, and she's done stuff before the kids are even out the door. She's now that mom versus the mom of she still does whatever she needs to as a mom, but she's organized. Even her kids are like, well, what is up with you? You're doing stuff, instead of, she may still have her morning TV show on, but instead of sitting there and nursing that cup of coffee, trying to get up the courage to kind of keep going, she's done stuff. She's moving. She's listening to it while she goes. And it's a superpower that we need as women. So if you time your sleep right, if you do it when you're supposed to do it, when it's right for you, what it releases is actually more time because you're more productive. Your brain is on fire versus feeling foggy and overwhelmed. If you're a morning person, your best cognitive time is between 10 and noon based on that circadian rhythm. If you've gotten sleep, you can nail stuff in that time zone when you're sleeping that you couldn't otherwise. You could be super creative in the afternoon because you're respecting that body clock. And so I really feel like the best message is you don't have to give anything up. You don't have to not do that. You just pick your times, time management to the extreme, and you're just managing your personal self.
Yeah, that's important because everybody's like, I always say we're bio-individual. And so what one person can thrive on, another person cannot, so it's just different things. But I like what you said about everybody has their own personal clock. But isn't there also more physical benefits of sleeping, such as like growth hormone production?
Yeah, it's the ultimate anti-aging, anti-chronic pain, autoimmune defense, cancer defense. Your mortality rate goes up if you don't sleep. It is attached to everything. We're so focused, and there's nothing wrong with diet and exercise. They are super important, but I feel like they should be 3, not 2 things that we really focus our health energy on, and diet, exercise, and sleep, because they form this symbiotic relationship that you can't be as successful at one without the other. Most diets, if you're not sleeping, if you're sleep deprived, you're going to eat an extra 450 calories, and you're going to be driven towards the carbs. Your willpower as far as carbs and all that is so much harder to beat when you're tired. It is phenomenal to your success at starting a mission to be sleeping well, to put that as part of your metric. You're going to start a new diet. Sleep really well first. Sleep and give it everything you can cognitively and your willpower. They say from financial decisions, there's fun studies on just risk factors and how people make financial decisions when they're tired. They've associated with sleep deprivation. After 17 hours of sleep deprivation, where you haven't slept for 17 hours, your body is starting to be equivalent of 2 drinks in. So if you're at 18 to 24 hours, you are over the legal limit and you probably shouldn't be driving. And we don't put sleep in that same category as we would consider someone being drunk. It's taboo. You wouldn't do it. But we do it all the time with sleep. I didn't sleep. I'm good. I'll make it, and it's almost like I'm super amazing because I don't sleep. It's the exact opposite. You're not your best. You wouldn't go in to do a big presentation drunk. So you shouldn't do it on no sleep.
Oh, absolutely. That's crazy. And think about how many people probably do. I'm right in the heart of Silicon Valley. I was born and raised here. And we are surrounded by drivers, And I know that a lot of women, they do that. They don't have self-care. And to me, when I'm coaching girls, it's like breathing and sleeping are at the top of the food chain. You know, you can go, what is it? You can go 30 days without food and what is it? 3 weeks without water or something. And then, but only like, I can't remember. I'm blowing that one.
Yeah, the longest time anyone's ever gone is 11 days. And at that point, your psychotic state is so insane. You're not almost human anymore. So, you know, what it does, it's such a biological necessity. You know, it's every animal does it. This has been part of our evolutionary development forever. So when we decide to ignore that and say that we're going to ignore those 100 million years and all those other species that do this, the only species I think that rock it is dolphins, and they've been able to shut off half their brain to let it sleep while the other one's still awake. But I'm thinking that they figured that out because they had to be in the ocean. But you're not a dolphin, so since you can't shut off your brain and let the other one work, you really got to shut it down.
That's hilarious. And a minute ago, you mentioned something. Tell us about your book.
Yeah, so, you know, it is all about reprogramming your sleep. It's looking at basically self-evaluating like what you're doing in your sleep life. It's not that different than starting a keto diet or paleo or some of those other diets where you look at how different things are really affecting you. You know, one of the best examples I use is Todd my husband has zero effect from caffeine. So he can drink a whole pot of coffee and then go to bed. His receptors don't work. And so I researched it because I'm like, what the heck? How does that, like, I have it at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and I'm wired for the rest of the day. But about between 3 to 5% of the population, actually caffeine has zero effect on him. So on the other side, he also doesn't get any big boost in the morning from caffeine, but it doesn't affect him. And so I think that what happens, I've given a lot of sleep talks, and I think people hear certain things like, well, that doesn't affect me, so therefore I'm going to ignore those sleep tips. Or those sleep tips are so general because they're all different ingredients that could apply to your sleep. And I think it is like baking a cake. We're all different cakes, and some of us are even bread. I mean, we're all different. But the ingredients of sleep are consistent, but you may not need all the ingredients, and you might not need them in the same quantities, and you may not need them all at the same time, and you might not be the same temperature, but we all need to figure out what that recipe is for us and own it. And it's not that different than diet. If you know what diet works for you and you decide to cheat, you're cheating. And you're like, okay, I know I'm doing this. I'm having my pizza, but I'm out with like doing this event, and this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to enjoy my pizza, but it's a treat, and I've recognized it as a separation from my lifestyle. And we need to do the same thing for sleep. We need to know what that core recipe is, and then if we say, well, it was so-and-so's 50th birthday party, and I'm going to stay up late and miss my bed window, it's okay, but I'm going to be okay because it's a treat, and I'm going to do it like that. But we're not going to chronically deprive ourselves of sleep because we know what our recipe is. And so that's really the point of the book.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I think sleep's so important. I mean, I get really kind of grumpy when my husband, if we're out somewhere and he's like staying too long, you know, he's the one that he's a night owl and he'll stay too long. And I'm horrible. You know what I've done when we have family over here, Tara? I've just done an Irish exit or Irish goodbye where they're all hanging out and I just go to bed, even with a house full of people.
Yeah, I've done the same thing, and it is hard. I feel like entertaining is the worst for that because you get yourself prepared and you're actually getting less sleep going into it because you're like trying to do all the things. Because for me, when we have a big reunion every summer, and that's like the excuse to do the honey-do list and all the things that I've been putting off, like, oh, all right, I got to get that done. So I do all of those things, and then they get there, I'm like, I can't miss my bed window. I'm like, I won't make it tomorrow. So yeah, you have to sometimes just say, this is me. I'll see you between these hours. I'm really good during these hours.
Yeah, and they know it. I mean, like, I've done it twice within the last couple months, but like, seriously, it's 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. I'm done at 10 for sure. And I'm always the first one. I have a group of friends that we get together like once a month, and I'm always the first one to leave. And when they come here, I always go, oh, great. You know, because they always stay late. It's pretty funny. But so what advice Do you believe that women that are like, our age, 50, whatever, what advice would you give them to improve their sleep?
So, I think that all the things you've had on your show, looking at your list of podcasts, the mindfulness, the intention, all of those great bedtime routines of, less light, less blue light for sure, all of those tips work. But the best tip is, yourself, what'll work. I guarantee you can find a meditation or a peacefulness. One of my favorite ones, because it's so idiot proof, because I need to be idiot proof for meditation, is Yoga Nidra, because it's, you can play one on Amazon. Actually, Nidra in Hindi is actually sleep. So you can, it's just very simple, and you can come up, make up your own little routine about it. It is literally very it can be 5 minutes, 10 minutes. It's very mellow. It's one of my favorites.
It's a video?
Well, you can get videos. Multiple people will do it. Anyone that's a yoga practitioner will talk about it, but it walks you through. So, like most stages of a yoga class, you're going to have sort of your introduction, and most of that is you're tensing your muscles and relaxing them, and you're doing breathing in, and then you're longer breathing out than breathing in. Very normal stuff. And it just walks you through that process. So if you've done it once or twice, it's simple enough. But, you just lay there in bed, flat on your back, and kind of work through that. And as you think about your breathing and clenching and relaxing your muscles, usually within 10, 15 minutes, then you start to relax. But I think the important thing is to find your habits that you like and what works for you, because sleep is so habit-based. I mean, we learn to sleep as children, and a lot of those habits of that's where weighted blankets and some of those things come in. Find what feels good to fall asleep, what relaxes you, because stress is not something you want to bring to bed with you. You want to find some way to get that out of your system or relax as much as you can when you go into that sleep state. So whatever your habits are, if a tea relaxes you, great. If it stresses you out to go try to figure out what kind of tea to have, don't worry about tea. It's not about the tea. It's about, getting yourself set up for sleep. I lay out, I do take magnesium, but I lay it all out. So it's all easy. So when I'm tired and I'm not sure I want to do all my habits, because I'm like, I'll just climb into bed, it's not worth it, I have it so that it's as easy and idiot proof, because when you're tired, I'm close to being drunk, and when you're drunk, you don't make good decisions, and you'll forget to do something because you're half the time I get in bed, I didn't brush my teeth, so I get back out and I brush my teeth. How did I do it every night, how did I even end up in bed without brushing my teeth? But I do, at least once a week. I'm how did I do that? We're just tired. So do everything you can to help yourself out and give yourself a break. It's tough.
I always say it's good to develop a morning and evening ritual. Mm-hmm. My morning ritual is down. I've got it. It's solid. It's great. My evening one tends to be all wonky, but yesterday was my birthday. And so
Happy birthday.
Well, thank you. And I always like to say, okay, what did I do really well this last year? What do I need to work on? And one thing that I wrote down is my evening routine. So have you heard of a reverse alarm? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to do a reverse alarm where I go down to the bedroom and I start prepping for sleep time with, I'm a yoga instructor, but doing my own yoga practice, also some foam rolling, just not long, but enough, because I do a lot of weightlifting. And no more Netflix. It's going to be all about reading for my book club. That's it. No reading business books, no reading health books, just all book club, so that my brain's not thinking.
No, I love Netflix, but I'll tell you, I don't think there's anything worse for sleep in the whole entire world than Netflix. I was telling someone the other night, that short little window between episodes, I'll just watch one episode, and then suddenly there's 5 seconds, and you look down and you're oh, you're in the next episode, and it sucks you in. It's terrible stuff.
It totally sucks you in. And think about this. If you're reading a book and your eyes get tired, Do you ever just read with one eye open? No, but you'll watch Netflix that way, right? Like you'll go, oh, just a little bit more. Oh, but not with a book.
No, and it actually affects your brain waves and your brain differently when you read. And when you physically read a book, like it's even different on a Kindle. Like the book that I read before bed, I'll read on my Kindle, like on my phone as I'm, flying around or whatever, or at the doctor's office. It's super handy to do it. But if you can physically read a book, that your body reacts differently when you do that. Like you just said, you can't ignore the cues. You're in the space. Your imagination, what's activated and deactivated in your brain is completely different. Watching Netflix, a lot of your sleep trackers can actually be fooled to think that your lack of movement is you're sleeping, because we kind of zone out and our brain actually disengages, and it's crazy. It feels good to do that, but it's not good for our brains before bed.
Yeah, well, that's on my list of no more, because I get sucked into those series, but I really like happy, funny, good things. I'm not a drama. Like, I don't like anything negative. Like Grace and Frankie, or Frankie and Grace. Have you seen that?
Mm-hmm.
That's
it's fun.
Humor. That's like what I like. So, it's a better way to go to bed, but still it's more about the book. So, when's your book coming out?
The ebook will be available in January, and then the publisher hasn't given me an official date on the physical book yet. So it just went live on pre-order this last weekend. So in the next few weeks, I should hear back.
And where can they find the link for that?
They can find it on our website, but if you can just Google it on Amazon, and it's Reprogram Your Sleep. And if you look under Tara Youngblood, it'll be there.
Oh, cool. And how can people find your Chilipad? And I'm going to tell the listeners right now that my husband always has had a sleep disorder. I've always been a fairly good sleeper, but the whole hot thing has messed me up. So having a Chilipad is just amazing. But even for me with the hot ears and all that stuff, his thing is just, it's ridiculous the improvement that he has experienced. So I just want everyone to realize what a game changer the Chilipad is.
Yeah, so it's on chilitechnology.com. Feel free to Google it. We have just amazing testimonials. As I said, my friend Susan, but it is really amazing what temperature can do. It's not a complicated product. This is a temperature pad that goes on your bed, and you set it and then you don't think about it. This is not willpower like a diet. And, a lot of people are like, well, it isn't cheap. Anytime you try to take energy out of a system, it's like air conditioners or refrigerators. We do it with thermoelectric devices, so they're quiet when you're sleeping. So there's an efficiency there, but it runs, from a California perspective, it runs on about 170 watts for the Chilipad and 140 watts for the Uller. So, you figure the energy usage of cooling you for that third of the time that you're in that space of your day, instead of your whole house. There's tons of benefits there that we don't always even talk about, because the sleep ones are so amazing that we don't really talk about the fact that this is really energy efficient. It was really used in Japan and the tsunami when it hit, because there wasn't air conditioning, there wasn't a way to cool people. And it's super energy efficient, so even on a generator, people could run it. So it's just an efficient way to adjust your body's temperature and manage it all night. So it is an investment, but you invest in your bed, you invest in other pieces of your life. Sleep is definitely worth the investment.
Oh yeah, it'll make you more productive every day, which is it'll improve your health. I think that's really, really important. And I never thought about the energy efficiency piece, because you're not going to have your air conditioning on, and that's huge. Our power bill is ridiculous. So that's a really good point. Yeah,
it's really a great way, because you can run it. We have a backup generator, so even when we're out of power and we don't have an air conditioner at all, or I like it. We get seasons in North Carolina, so I like it like right now in the fall, where you can have the windows open, and I just use that for my temperature control at night, because I don't need to mess with the big house stuff.
Yeah, for sure. That's ridiculous. But I have one more. I have so many questions for you. Why would anybody want it to go up to 110?
So a lot of times we work with a lot of people with hospice and cancer treatments, and even neurological disorders. I think I mentioned MS, fibromyalgia. A lot of times in those sort of scenarios, again, we talked about that thermostat being a really faulty sensor in our bodies and not very efficient. So MS, the description will be, I don't have it, but if you get so bone cold, I think everyone's gotten bone cold where you just feel like I can't warm up no matter what. They have that every night. So they can't get warm enough. And the problem with the regular sort of bed pad heaters is those coils are electricity in your bed. They can give off EMFs, cause cancer. They also, if you are a horror freak, you can watch what burns happen from those. It's really terrible for older people because they don't have a good sense on how hot it is, and they can get severe burns while they're sleeping. This is just water, so there's no EMFs interacting. So even with someone with a pacemaker can use it to warm up. And I do, like, if it's a cold day, I'll absolutely put it on heat and warm up and snuggle my toes under and read a book. And like a Saturday afternoon is a total, that's super treat in the wintertime.
Oh, that's a great idea. And I like how you said that you warm it up in the winter. You warm it up and then you go in and then you turn it down so that when you're sleeping, it's cool. Mm-hmm. That's a good idea. Awesome.
Yeah, toes get cold. I'll get cold toes, just kind of wandering around, and it feels really good that way.
Oh, cool. Well, I am so thrilled to have you on the show because you have the perfect product to help my perfect listener. And it is amazing. So I'm sure it's going to be a game changer for them. And I'm looking forward to checking out your book in January. So where can people find you? What is your website?
Yeah, it's Chilli, CHILI, as in chili cooled or chili hot, technology.com. And you can also send me an email if you have questions, or I love hearing success stories. It's what keeps me going for sure. So sleepgeek at chilitechnology.com if you want to send a question or find out more.
Are you anywhere on social media?
Yeah, we are all over everything. I think we're on every platform. So if you Google Chilipad look it up on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, any and all of those, you can track us down.
Oh, awesome.
And same goes if you have more questions. We answer questions on Facebook all the time. Feel free to, if you just want to ask more questions, we're happy to answer questions.
Oh, cool. Awesome. Well, I appreciate you so much. Thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for changing the game with my family, or my husband and I, with the Chilipad. It is, it's really, really amazing. You know that whole thing that says 2 feet out, too cold, 2 feet in, too hot, 1 foot out, just right? Have you heard that?
Yes.
I don't have to deal with that anymore. It's perfect.
It is really, and you get to, honestly, we encourage people to have a blanket on. Otherwise, if you're too hot, you kick off all the covers. But if you want that blanket for that, like I said, that comfort feeling to be able to sleep, the blanket now insulates and keeps your cocoon of the right temperature in there, instead of keeping that cooler temperature separated from you, that you flip it off. You get to have that cocoon back. You get to snuggle into bed. And that's just a great feeling to be able to snuggle into bed and not worry about whether or not your foot is out, or if you're getting enough of your body out to stay cool. You don't have to think about it. You just go to sleep.
Yeah, you're so smart. I'm so glad and thankful for you.
Yeah, I'm thrilled to be on here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you are so cute. Hey everyone, I'm super excited. Once again, do not forget to use coupon code Tracy25 to save 25 on the Chilipad, or Tracy15 to save 15% on the Uller, which is the latest technology that Tara has come up with. If you like the show, please head on over to iTunes, give us a rating and review so more people can find this awesome content. Thank you so much for listening, you guys. Make it a great day.